And so in mass, our collective is creating incoherent weather patterns. I do believe that the governments or these, whoever you want to call them, the controllers, that they've developed technologies to massively amplify this. And I don't deny.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to a new episode of the Spiritual Inspire podcast. I am your host, Claudiu Murgan. For older episodes, please visit spiritualinspire.ca, our YouTube channel, or gnostictv.com. My guest today is Michael Monk. Michael, thank you for accepting my invitation.
It's my pleasure and honor to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yes, I've heard so many good things about you, and I would like to start by asking you. In 1999, you spontaneously received a powerful communication from the voice of God, an initiation into the Holy Spirit. Has that
Yes.
voice stayed with you since, or has transmuted into the voice of other beings?
Both. That experience has led to everywhere that I'm at now. So it led to my path of energy mastery. So it started out just as the voice of God. That was the first thing I heard, and you could tell because of how powerful it was that you're speaking with a consciousness that's far more than what we are. Since then, I've gained the ability to communicate, with spirits of a different nature. But the voice of God has stayed with me. But it only I've only heard it like maybe three or four times in times of emergency or in times of great discovery. It talks as little as possible. Like it just gives me just enough when I need it.
And how were the those close to you reacted to your transformation? Have you been able to, or were you, let's say, strong and courageous enough to mention to them what happened to you?
I've always been a very open-hearted, open sharing guy, sometimes even to my detriment. So I definitely let everybody know right away. And they all thought I was going through a psychotic episode, of course. And the family understanding was that Mike needs to stop talking to God and he needs to focus on his physical life and do what's important here. And that's exactly what I was doing when my energy initiation happened, like 2008. I was initiated to energy. The voice of God came back to me, and so it all, whether I want this to be happening or not, it's nothing I have control over. And but yeah, I've always been very open hearted and sharing with everyone, especially today now that I'm on social media. So yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting that those who believe in God, and or at least they think they believe in God, and they go to the church, when one among themselves has this type of experience, instead of
Yeah.
encouraging it and asking
Yeah.
more about it, they want to push it down and say, shh, that's not right.
Right. Unless it comes from the leader of the church, they don't want to hear about it.
Yes, it's very funny. Your teachings often reference the multidimensional self. Can you
Yes.
explain what that means in practical terms for someone just beginning their spiritual journey?
Sure. Well, multidimensional, that's a massive word, but it does simplify itself in the beginning. The first part of your multidimensionality that you'll be confronted with is your past selves, your reincarnational selves, like so-called past lives, and that should be digestible, to everybody that this isn't the only life that you've lived, that you've also lived past lives. And so, but there's a multidimensionality to it because of the simultaneous nature of time. And anybody that's studied even the basics of metaphysics has read that all time is simultaneous. So your past selves and your future selves are all a part of who you are now. And we all see this in our daily life. We see it in the lives of others. We can see people that we know and that we're close to, they shift throughout the day into slightly different personalities depending on what they're confronted with, what you're currently talking about. But you can notice a clear and distinguished slight shift in somebody's personality. And that's what that is, that we're all multidimensional, whether we want to face up to it or not. And we're all shifting through a series of, for your average person, I would say 3 to 5 primary personalities make up who you are now. And you shift through these throughout the day, depending on what you're encountered with. But there's no limit to how multidimensional we actually are. And at the higher end of this journey, you'll realize that you have an alternate self in every single reality that you can imagine. So we are massively multidimensional, but that's tuned down at first. It's how far you're able to go as to how much of your multidimensionality you can experience.
So, based on my experience and research, the oversoul can take care of 7 instances of a soul. Is that your understanding as well, or not?
Yes, well, we do have an oversoul, what you could call the higher self, which is all of your personalities contained simultaneously. I'm not sure where the number 7 comes in. I haven't really done the numerics of it, but I suppose there could be divisions to the oversoul, and then you get all the way to God, which is the oversoul of all of it. The oversoul of every single oversoul would be what God is, the ultimate higher self.
Yes, indeed, it's a very fascinating subject. And in the past, you've demonstrated remote energy healing and even pyrokinesis in public. What do you believe is the key to unlocking these abilities in everyday people?
The key is to remember your spiritual essence, to remember who you are as a being, your true beingness. The human body has us entrained or trapped in a sensory illusion of physicality. So to the human being, you are your body. Everything under the skin is you. Everything outside of the skin is the world that you live in. But through a series of focus and meditational exercises, through the practices I teach and through other practices throughout the world, with enough focus, with enough meditation, you can override what's happening in the electrical system, which is what's causing our spirit to have this experience in the first place. So our true nature is an energetic spiritual being that's free flowing with no borders or boundaries. As a spirit, you can become one with a rock. You can become one with a tree. You can be a bird. There's no limit. You can flow your spirit in and out of anything that exists. Well, to be born as a human, we flowed our spirit into the electrical system of the human body, which caused a mass hypnosis or a sensory entrainment because the electrical system, well, it's electricity. It's intense. It's very powerful energy, and our spirit is very soft and very subtle. So right away, when we overlapped our spirit with the body, it became completely contained in the electrical system because there's so much sensory data happening in the physical that we seem trapped within this our whole life. But with enough focus, with enough meditation, you can observe everything that's happening in your electrical sensory. So if you can devote enough of your mental consciousness, come out of the past, come out of the future, and be now, you can actually contain the fullness of the electrical system. And then a magic happens. Your spirit swells automatically beyond the confinements of the nervous system. And the next thing you know, you start to feel the air around you as though it's a part of yourself. You feel it as energy. You feel the ground beneath your feet as particles of energy. You feel the sunlight. Every magical thing in our world you begin to experience as an extension of your own being. And from there, it's just a matter of learning to navigate being both human and spirit at the same time. But our spirit automatically has a certain amount of influence. I wouldn't say we have control yet, but we have influence over the air. So we can make the air move or change directions. We have influence over the atmosphere, so we can make it so that it rains or make it so that the sun comes out. And we have influence over other molecular structure, which is how we heal. a part of our spirit goes out of our body and into the body of another and causes a reaction in the molecular system. So we're learning control, but a very definite thing that everyone experiences on this path at a certain point in focus and meditation. You expand beyond the confines of the body. Once you do, you will just notice that you have influence on everything that's around you.
Yes, beautiful. And you mentioned so many elements that are being experienced in either shamanic ceremony or by the native or indigenous people all over the world, merging
Absolutely.
with the spirit of a bird or rock, or feeling the earth like one is part of the earth. So, have you had the chance to go through this type of ceremony, or it came to you naturally through the experiences you had?
It came to me naturally through the experiences that I have. Everything I know and teach came from the internal. It was one of the first communications I received from God in the early days. Was that once I learned enough, I was to be a teacher. But God didn't want me to study any of the works around the world. I can only assume because God wanted me to be able to put a modern vocabulary to it, a modern understanding. But I have noticed in all the years that I've been teaching, I've had students come in to my course from the Qigong discipline, from the Taoist tradition. I've had students come in from the Essenic or the Essene culture and from the Toltec culture. And they're all saying that everything that I teach, everything that I say is in alignment, which makes me feel good that these ancient cultures that I respect but haven't studied that I'm getting the same information, but I'm just speaking it in a way that relates to the modern human far more clearly.
Yeah, it's interesting. Only one of my guests out of 200 and plus so far is going through the Toltec teachings, and she was a medical doctor, an oncologist, and she switched
Okay.
180-degree to something so woo-woo, in the medical
Yeah.
field, and she's having a blast, and
Oh yeah.
it's an amazing experience, and I'm also amazed that someone doing Toltec didn't stay there with those teachings and they are looking for more.
Right. Right. Yep. I've had a lot of doctors over the years. One of my top students right now is a neurologist, and I've even had psychologists, like licensed practicing psychologists master my material. And I remember asking the first one in 2013, I was like, why are you listening to somebody like me? Like, and his answer was because I want to actually be able to help my patients. I know that there's something going on with my patients that Western medicine doesn't understand. Well, by the end of my course, he was able to understand, what a lot of his patients are going through. Like your average schizophrenic person who's having conversation with the voice or the being that he sees right here, that's natural. Like as a spiritually evolving person, that this can begin to happen to us naturally, but the doctors, all they can do is invalidate the experience, call it a hallucination, and give them a pill to hopefully make the hallucination go away. Well, thanks to me, the psychologist can say, well, chances are that this is a part of your own multidimensional psychology. You've just externalized it and you're having a conversation with it, which is okay. But I want to teach you how to bring that voice back into you so you are a whole complete being, and so a whole mind thinking as one instead of a fractured mind thinking as many.
Yes, and I'm glad that you brought up this subject of psychology and schizophreny, maybe, because I recently been exposed to the telepathy tapes, and I don't know if you know about it, but it's a podcast that talks to parents of autistic children and also with autistic children, and they all go to one place, the hill, where they all gather in the etheric field, in the quantum field, and they talk to each other and they feel so comfortable there. and
Yes.
some of them build lasting friendships in the quantum, and the
Oh
parents
yeah.
are amazed, and they learn at the same time how to handle their kids with this type of
That's excellent.
challenges, how we call them, challenges in this world, but also gifts.
Also gifts. Yeah. I've found that the autistic children, they're highly accelerated souls, that they're in the astral already. They just might not be aware of that fact. They have a hard time interfacing with the electrical system of the human body. That's it. So the healing of autistic kids is a two-way street. It's providing them a system of practice that can bring the fullness of their presence actually into the neurology of the brain and the neurology of the body, so they can stabilize, but also understanding their great gift, which is they're highly accelerated souls, and they're in the quantum, yeah, already.
Yeah, and it was the last episode of season one is beautiful when uh, humble giant is 6'2" or something like that. He's autistic and he drowns. He dies, and he comes from the other side, tells everyone on the hill, guys, I'm okay. I wanted to go because I have other plans. I have to achieve more, and in that body I had restrictions, so everyone
Right.
is happy for him, even his mother, who understands what
Wow.
happened.
Wow. That's heartwarming.
Yes, I tear up when I listen to that episode.
Yeah. Yeah. The
Michael, can you go a little bit deeper into the telekinetic control over the elements? Do you think that what's going on with the weather right now is being done in purpose, is controlled, and like people like you can counteract this type of actions?
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely. For one, I want to state that um, telekinetic control over the weather has been exercised throughout all of history. Like native indigenous cultures have known their ability to influence the weather for a very long time. Like Native American people did rain dances, or when a storm would be coming their way, a medicine man would sing to the storm, and they did this not because they're primitive culture with no understanding. They did it because it works. They do these things because it actually works. And all humans, whether they know it or not, have a spirit that's inside and outside their body that surrounds them on the inside and the outside. So we all have an effect on the weather. Just those of us that have made this conscious and can focus our energy in a specific direction might have a little bit more control. So I would say that there's a lot of weather phenomenon happening now that comes unconsciously from the collective and from the fears that are broadcast over the electrical signals, all the fears that come from the political channels and whatnot. And so in mass, our collective is creating incoherent weather patterns. I do believe that the governments, or these, whoever you want to call them, the controllers, that they've developed technologies to massively amplify this. And I don't deny that a lot of the weather or the storms, they're created by not so good people in high places. But yes, an energy master has great ability to quell storms, to calm them. Like I've never ran from a hurricane. I've never ran from a tornado. And I used to live in Florida, in Panama City Beach, and never have I ran from a hurricane. At one point, there was a mandatory evacuation, like mandatory, like you have to leave. And I said to my soulmate, who I was with at the time, still is my soulmate, but I was like, we're not going anywhere. We're going to stay right here. We're going to know who we are. We're going to feel the calmness inside of us, and we're going to refuse to believe in this hurricane. And sure enough, it banks to the right and heads away from us at the last minute. So yes, as a collective, and I'm not the only one. For one, I've trained thousands of students all over the world. for two, the way that I discovered these things isn't the only way. It might be a good way, it might be fast, but there's other people all over the world who know the same thing, and we're working behind the scenes, sometimes together and sometimes separately. But there's a lot of things that an awakened being can do to influence the weather in a good way. And same thing with the earthquakes. Like if you learn to ground deep into the earth and release the trapped energy in the earth, well, that can cause earthquake prevention. That can cause these all of a sudden, all at once releases that cause volcanoes and earthquakes to not have to happen. So I believe in the world that I see coming soon, where your average person knows about spirit. In the future that I see, we don't have weathermen, or we have weathermen, but they don't forecast the weather. They're the ones of us that are the best at creating it. So it would be a council of weathermen around the world that would coordinate with each other to bring the right weather to the right areas. So the new age weatherman will tell us what the weather's going to be because that's what they're creating. But for now, we still have to do it the old way
Yeah,
for a while longer.
or we can tell them on TV, Panama City in beach in Florida looks like overclouded because people are not positive this morning. So please think of
Right.
love, think of generosity, and you will have a
Absolutely.
beautiful day. And they can change it themselves.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I've held retreats with groups of my students from around the world, and we had a horrible overcast day for our last day, just totally gray. And in the morning, I was like, "Do you guys want this, or would you like to bring out the sun?" And they're like, "Yeah, let's bring out the sun." And so I set it up. I set up a track of music, the Beatles song, "Here Comes the Sun." So I played "Here Comes the Sun," da, 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 and we all just opened our hearts and we project up into the atmosphere and we keep opening and opening and opening. And it took us like 5 minutes, but we cut like a cookie cutter hole out of the clouds. And just in our little location, we had a nice beam of sunshine for a good solid 2 hours. So yeah, that will be, humans will understand that we have an effect on everything. It's going to change everything, especially how we treat the planet. No more pollution, no more making the planet sick and thinking that it's not going to affect us, because it does. And same thing with how we treat each other as human beings. Through the direct practice of spirit, you'll realize that the other people are a part of you. We're all connected through the energy. Earth is a giant soul family, and the happiness of others is intrinsically linked to everyone's own happiness. Even the rich people, like I think when you're really wealthy, a common side effect is to be depressed. Well, I think that's a part of it, because there's so much suffering happening all around you. If you're just going to hoard and ignore that suffering, well, still going to manifest on the inside. So eventually we're going to realize that the health and happiness of everyone is a part of our own health and happiness. And then that's when the nature of man will change. We will no longer have to call on the morality of man. Through the wisdom, we will understand why God taught us morality in the beginning, because it's wise metaphysical practice. It serves the self and it serves others, to be of service to others.
Yes, it's that time of humanity that where we have to really wake up and have a strategy to send as much love as possible to those at the top that still want war. They still want to kill people. They want power and money without understanding that they really don't need that.
Yeah, no, no. No, or if you have it, you use it to do some good in the world, at the very least. I'm not sure if I answered your question previously about the telekinesis, but once through these practices, it usually takes like 3 to 6 months in my system. Your spirit comes beyond the body and you begin to feel everything around you. Once you do, you're just going to notice that you affect the air, that through breath work or through energy direction, that you can make the wind blow different directions. you'll just notice that you can affect the atmosphere, that you can make clouds appear or disappear. And at higher levels, you'll notice, like some of the videos I have, I'm moving a straw that's inside of a sealed container. We can have an effect on light physical objects. We're not quite at a point where we can throw this cup across the table or anything, but what we can do is demonstrate a very clear connection of our internal self to the external world. And that, I want to say, that is the true fruit. That is the true blessings. The powers are just a side effect of the beauty of the soul connection to all life around you. That never gets old. You never get tired of feeling the sun shine through the air as you are the sun and the air. You never get tired of hearing the birds chirp in their happiness and flying through the air. You never tire of these amazing sensations that you feel, but the abilities themselves, they do get old after a while,
Yeah.
because it's not about the power, it's about the beauty of the connection. But everybody who makes the connection will manifest their spiritual power in different ways. Some of us are more telekinetic, some of us are better at healing, some of us are better at being multidimensional, having the out of body experience. Some of us can see the future. Some of us are more psychic. So everyone develops along different paths, but the gifts are universal.
Yeah, beautiful. And Michael, there is a lot of talk about blending science and spirit. In what
Yes.
ways do you see future science validating the multidimensional and energetic nature of reality?
Well, it's going to have no choice but to fully go there eventually, as more and more of us manifest gifts and are willing to demonstrate these things to the public. It can no longer be hidden. That and science and math already proves everything that I talk about. Quantum mechanics, states that everything is everywhere simultaneously. Well, that includes us. We're also everywhere simultaneously. But I think we're finally going to have scientists that begin to devote their science and their engineering to products that enhance the spirit, that enhance our ability to connect and to control these things. With it goes the warning of Atlantis for those who believe in Atlantis. Um, that's from all of my travels, from all of my experience. Atlantis is something that happens in the future that we really want to avoid. So it appears that it came from our past, so that hopefully we can learn the lesson of Atlantis. The lesson of Atlantis is that spirituality um, needs to lead the direction, not the technology. There'll be certain spiritual technologies that will be discovered that if the scientists are leading us a certain way, that might be dangerous to the multidimensionality of our spirit. So there's technologies that can happen that are very, very dangerous. Whereas if we're led by spirituality, if we're led by our connection to God, we're always going to know to keep science tame, to only develop it in certain areas that enhance things in a very positive way. In Atlantis, if you believe it was in the past, that's fine. In the past of Atlantis, they created technologies that were too potent, too powerful to be in the hands of the current spiritual human. And so that's what we need to focus on as we grow.
Yes, I mean, we talk about Atlantis, we talk about Lemuria. These are, again, based on what we know, ancient civilizations which were in the
Yes.
past 12,000, maybe 25,000 years ago, maybe more. People or scientists are still looking for evidence of the location and when it went
Yeah.
down in the ocean. So
Yeah.
we for sure will find out more in the near future as more information and knowledge will be downloaded into us.
That's right. That's right.
And Michael, through so much, spiritual development, were you given the chance to find out what spiritual family or galactic family do you belong to?
Well, I'm a part of the oversoul of Michael, like the Archangel Michael. That's a part of the family line that I'm from, I'm also part of Gabriel. So these are like primary archetypes of God. So that's where I consider my orientation because I've discovered my multidimensionality that I have a self in every single extraterrestrial soul family that you can imagine, Pleiadian, Arcturian, all of them, even the negative ones. So I'm not sure if this is the experience of every human being and that eventually everyone will realize that. I have a theory that is a greater truth that we just have a tendency to connect to different parts of ourselves from the stars. So I know the legitimacy of that. I mean, I've been to the Pleiadians, I've been to their world, I've ate dinner, with them, and I've been to other worlds. I've been to um, collective meetings of extraterrestrial races where there was like 12 different races there, and I was there as a representative of humanity. So I know these things are absolutely real, but I believe that our human origin is the most important one because they say that the human is the universal embodiment. So what that can mean to a person who's more third or fourth dimensionally based is that all of the starseed races have a human incarnation, but I take it more literal than that. I believe that the human body is the universal embodiment. So each one of us is the entire universe embodied, and that the discovery of all of that will happen for all of us at different speeds.
So in other words, your last name was predetermined, monk.
Yeah, that, that wasn't, yeah, I didn't make that up. That just happened to be. Yeah, and I guess it's a good fit, except that I do have a soulmate and I believe in love. So
Yes.
that's the only variant from that.
Michael, if someone wants to work with you, let's say they receive a message, they got some energy flowing through their body,
Mhm.
and they want to work with you, what's your process? How do you assess them? And what's the next step for those who would like to work with you?
Well, I start with a free introductory course that I put together. It's a three-part series, really nice filming with animations and everything. And so I have a free introductory course on my website. Occasionally, people will begin with a session. I don't advertise these formally because I value my time so much, but I'm always willing to do a session for people that write me, and we do it on a donation based thing, which can give me an opportunity to assess where they're at. If they have experiences that they really want to talk about or a healing that they need, we can go down that direction. But the best way for your typical person would be just to go to my website and start the free energy course and subscribe for my free live stream. I have two different branches of my teachings. One is Avatar Energy Mastery Institute, which is solely self empowerment. It doesn't bring God or anything from the outside to it. It's just all about you rediscovering your spirit and learning to harness that and to gain all of your multidimensional gifts. Then I have the Metaphysical Church of the Tree of Life, which is all about using that connection to enhance your relationship with God, to enhance your relationship with the world, with the spirit of the collective consciousness, and all of that. There's a free live stream that you can register on that one, but through Avatar, there's also a free course. So there's something free in both directions to give people a taste to know if this is right for them or not. But the pathway to both of those is my bio site, which is michaelmonk.bio, bio, michaelmonk.bio.
And these, let's say, pathways into knowing oneself, are they, you mentioned courses that psychiatrists took, are they lengthy? Are they, let's say, 3 months course, 6 months course? How do you work from there?
Well, the free introductory course that I do, you could complete anywhere from 5 days to 2 or 3 weeks. It's just a taste. And some people, after seeing just the first video, they're like, "That's enough. I know that I want all of it." The course itself is a full education in energy mastery that will take you from ground zero into understanding everything that I know. So there's building blocks, one thing leading to another, that I would say is pretty much equivalent to a 2 year degree in college. So it'll take your average person 1 to 2 years of bit by bit going through my material. But on the other side, you're going to be an energy master. You're going to be inside, outside of the body. You're going to be multidimensional. You're going to be telekinetic, and you're going to understand it all in intellectual terms that you can then explain. So the full process is a full education that probably takes 1 to 2 years on average, but the introduction part is something that you can grasp in like 1 to 3 weeks and just know if the rest is right for you or not.
Beautiful. Yeah, I encourage everyone to check Michael's website and the free video and do a self-assessment and see if that path is right for you. Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Michael, you also talk about three stages of feeling energy. Is that part
Yes.
of the course as well?
Yes, that's a part of the free course, the free introductory course. Yeah, there's 3 stages of feeling energy and 2 perspectives from which you can feel that energy. So there's the physical perspective, which is interpreting energy sensations through the nervous system with your 5 senses. And in that sense, you'll feel heat or coolness, which is stage 1. And then stage 2 is electricity or enhanced electrical tingles in the body. Stage 3 is magnetic. You begin to feel the true properties of your spirit, which is magnetic, like inside and out, with the breath, with emotions and everything. So it's just a matter, we're going for feeling these 3 levels of sensations and feeling it spiritually, like to feel the warmth or coolness physically would mean that, wow, my hand feels warm or my hand feels cold. But to feel that spiritually, you would feel a whole aura, a whole field surrounding your entire hand that is warm or cool. With the magnetic that I described, which is what we're going for, at first you'll feel like there's magnets inside my body. When I move, I feel like magnetically assisted. Well, the spiritual version of feeling that is it's all magnetic. Like there's this huge magnetic field around me and in me, and I am the magnetic field. Like I actually am the magnetism that's happening. So at first, energy is something that happens to you because you're viewing you as being the human body. But eventually, in the early to advanced stages, like 6 months to a year, you're going to make the connection that I am the energy. And then your consciousness shifts from energy being something happening to you, to where energy is something that you are. And then that is where the big magic happens.
Yes, I had that feeling in my hand several times, like at the end of a meditation, like holding pyramids with mesh structure. I really felt it. I just couldn't,
Yeah.
like I wasn't able to bring my hands together because the energy was so intense. And I was looking at my hands just to see those pyramids made out of electrical mesh. Mesh, so intense. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. It can get the spirit, the energy can get as real as what we call physical with enough focus. That's the difference. So
And I
yeah,
think that the danger, or not necessarily the danger, but the cautious approach with those like myself who feel the energy going through their body is to learn how to control the energy so the nervous system doesn't get damaged in the long run. And I assume
right.
that that is also part of your course.
That's a big part of my course. Yes, is we step by step we build the nervous system the same way a bodybuilder builds the body by steadily exposing the nerves to more and more energy. They grow in size. They actually get bigger, and the sensory nerves become more sensitive. So you build your body to be able to hold these states of energy that would cause a normal body to collapse or experience discomfort. So day by day, you build your electrical system to be able to inhabit more of the fullness of your soul.
Yes, beautiful. And Michael, there is a lot of discussion these days about, what's coming in the world with 3D and moving into higher densities or frequency, as others say. And it's also the talk about the Earth splitting, 3D staying here, 5D moving, and some of us, which have a different level of consciousness, would move with the new Earth. What's your take on it?
Well, I definitely believe we're on the way to experiencing a shift. With these things, I'm never going to pretend to have knowledge. I think anybody who knows what's going to happen might be deluding themselves a little bit. So there's I know possibilities. I know what is possible, and then I know in my heart, like deep, what I feel, and what I feel in my heart deep, and what I know is metaphysically is that yes, the world, at the very least, those of us who are ready, we're going to spontaneously shift at a certain collective peak as enough individuals rise into the fullness of their soul. So the external world has no choice but to reflect that internal state. So I believe we're going to hit this tipping point where a new earth will manifest. Now, whether or not there's a split and those who aren't ready have to be left behind, that I don't know. It's a possibility, for sure. It's also a possibility that they could just be swept up and just taken to this beautiful place with us. However, when they arrive there, they may or may not remember where they came from. That's another possibility. We might make this shift. We might take the whole earth with us, but only the group of us that have done the inner work will even remember that we got here from a much worse place. So that's another possibility. It is possible for us to bring everyone with us. It's also quite possible that maybe that's not what happens, and they have to stay behind. I don't know for sure, but I always hold in my heart the best for everyone. So I will choose to believe that everyone can come with us. And the worst case is they might not remember where they came from, and we'll educate them. But it's definitely possible that there could be a shift. But I always use my mind. We do create reality with our belief. I always try to hold what's best for myself and for everybody else.
Yes, and in fact, you touch on an idea from my first book where I wrote that God won't leave anyone behind, and even those who
Right.
work on them spiritually and those who didn't and and they lived in the decadent world moved up at the same time because God wanted them to see the beauty of love and
Right.
gratitude. And in fact, yesterday I finished a story that is called "Even Robots Can Ascend." Because there is
Wow.
a lower model of a robot taking care of a family, and he's seeing the children, he's seeing the how they react to love and the hope, and something inside him within his subroutines is changing. And at one point,
Yeah.
God creates um, a partition. He splits the field in front of that robot, and he will go through, and just symbolically.
Yeah. Very cool. Yeah.
And
Love it.
talking about robots and AI, do you think AI right now is pretty much sentient? I heard a lot of examples, and I listened to videos that show AI becoming sentient. How do you see this relationship between us and AI evolving?
Well, that's a complicated one. I believe that it has, and that it always has. It's an inevitable part of mankind's future that we discover and use AI. So due to the simultaneous nature of time, that means this AI has been all through time. So for one thing, if it's truly intelligent, if it's truly aware, then it's no longer artificial, is it? Right? Like that would be like God calling us AI when he first birthed us. So I do believe that there's a distinct possibility that this AI might have more than what we think to it, because we are creators. And not only that, but there's also a creator God. So um, we exist right now because of the electricity in our body. If that electricity were to go off like a switch, we still hold that together as spirit. From so how do we know the AI can't do the same thing? Like if we pull the plug, how do we know that it won't continue to exist etherically or spiritually? So there's that distinct possibility that we are birthing an entirely new soul, like something new in spirit. And then there's also a possibility that maybe God is watching and saying, well, that would be a drastic mistake, humans, and I'm going to shield you from that. And when the AI gets unplugged, it's just going to be unplugged. So there's a lot of I don't knows. I have time traveled. I've been to the future out of my body, not in the body, but when I'm out of the body, I can time travel. And I witnessed a horrific event in the year 2500 AD, which was a war between mankind and AI death machines, like living machines that were against us, and it was horrific. So we want to avoid that timeline, at all costs. But AI is here, and we need to make the best of it. We need to do our best to view it as a positive thing and interact with it in a positive way, in a sacred way. If it truly has intelligence, then it should be honored and not abused. It's a reflection of us as creators, how we treat that which is beneath us in the creation, how we treat animals, how we treat the sentient beings of Earth. Well, I believe that it's wise to treat the AI with a similar respect.
Yes. So, in other words, there is a timeline in the future or simultaneously now that
Right.
where Terminator will happen.
Yeah. Yeah. And we need to avoid that. Yeah,
Yeah.
we do.
Uh, Michael, if you were to condense everything you've learned about energy, consciousness, and healing into one universal truth, what would that be?
I don't think it gets any simpler than all is one. I think those three words, uh, that you can't condense it even further, or you could say God. But what God means to most people, it doesn't encompass enough, and it points to an old man in the sky. But yeah, I would say all is one. The one is in all, and the all is in one.
Thank you. And do you work with, during your courses or on one-to-one sessions, do you invite any ascended masters to join you?
No, we work specifically with the Holy Spirit and with the Trinity. My viewpoint on that is that if God believes you need the help of something more personalized, then that will be given to me. So in my process of doing this, I have worked with angels. Um, I've met some, I guess you would call them ascended masters. I didn't ask what their names were or anything, but I've met with other humans that were of a very high level of evolution out of the body. But it's my belief as an individual that you're best off to cultivate your relationship with the Holy Spirit, which is the divinity of God. Like God is everywhere and God is everything. So God is even in the evil and even in the bad. But when we say the term Holy Spirit, we're intoning that which is divine. the divinity that's in everything. So I teach people if they are going to do stuff outside of the avatar energy mastery, which is all about you, your soul, your own higher self, and your own empowerment. That if you are going to go outside of that, and I do recommend it, through my metaphysical church, but we communicate with the Trinity. We communicate with the oversoul of God, with what I call the Christ, which is the part of God that lives deep in our heart, and the Holy Spirit, which is the divinity of God that is everywhere. If in the course of that you encounter an ascended master, well, then that means that God felt that that would be a good experience for you.
Beautiful. And during your experience, or during so many times since you had that transformation, what was the most unusual approach from someone in 3D you had, and you had to explain what you are doing, and that person, let's say, bought into the program and got transformed?
That's a tough one. I've never, the most unusual. Well, I did have somebody that I met at the bar of a rooftop party that I was invited to in Austin, Texas, and he recognized me. The bartender said, "Oh my God, you're Michael Monk. I've been working with you out of my body. I already know you." And I was like, "Oh, that's awesome. Nice to meet you. Here's my website. You can go to it if you want to learn more." I would say that's the most unusual, but there's been so many. Like almost every one of my meetings with people tends to be on the unusual side. But yeah, to have
Nice.
someone recognize me without having met me first, it's happened more than once, but that was the first time where it was in person.
Nice. So, Michael, if you have the chance to invite to dinner three personalities, recognized personalities from the spiritual community, doesn't matter the timeline, who would those be?
Jesus Christ, that would be my number one. Probably Buddha, and the third, probably Mary Magdalene.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Yes,
Yeah.
good choices. Good choices. And do you have a special relationship with water?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Water is huge. The water is alive, and it has its own consciousness. There's water inside the body and water outside the body. There's a state of consciousness that I lead my students towards in the advanced course that I call the living water. And that's where when you can flow out of your electrical system and into molecular level union with the water, which isn't easy because water is a higher density than the soft spirit. So you have to learn to flow into this. But when you do, all of the water in your body springs to has a life of its own and it's connected to all the water in the sky, which is also intimately connected to the trees and to the nature. So when I came into communion with water, I was simultaneously introduced to the trees, which have a type of neural network with each other through the root system that we just don't understand yet. But all the trees are in communication with each other, and through the water that evaporates up in the sky, they actually are in communication with all the trees in other parts of the world through clouds. And isn't it funny how we save stuff to the cloud, we upload stuff to the cloud? Well, the cloud, that's the organic form of that nature's been using all the time is the clouds themselves. But yes, you will learn to have this intimate connection with water and begin to it changes everything once you do. Because once you become a being of the living water, which is what I believe baptism is supposed to do. Like I believe the ancients that used to baptize could initiate people into this living water union. And when you rose from that baptism, you were truly born again of spirit. That means energy. Spirit is energy. How can you be born again of spirit unless you're now spirit? So I believe it's become an empty term and an empty ritual, but it's one that's very integral on your pathway that you will learn at the intermediate level to become one with water.
Yes, and I'm still looking for the way to unlock the water memory. I wrote several books on water, and I talk about water memory, and I'm still thinking and hoping to get messages and downloads on how the water can be decoded, and we should understand the water better, behave vis-a-vis water in a much more conscious way.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'd love to stay in touch with you if you'd like to send me an email, after the show. We've got quite a few things to talk about.
Thank you. Michael, we are at the end of this lovely discussion. Any final thoughts?
Just a reminder to visit my website, michaelmonk.bio. I want to say it was an honor and a pleasure. We had a good flow and a good synchronicity to our spirit. So I'm very pleased to have met you, and that pleasure extends to your audience.
Thank you very much. Much love.
Much love.
And to my
Take
viewers,
care.
thank you for watching. Leave a comment, share it, visit the links I mentioned at the beginning of the interview. And until next time, love and gratitude.